makes all the difference in court, you know.
What does?
Well, how much you've got and how much you make of it. Of course, she'd be very, very well blessed in that direction with Elsie Tanner.
You're not seriously suggesting that the course of British justice can be deflected by a woman's vital statistics, are you?
Depends.
On what, pray?
What sex the judge is.
Oh, what nonsense.
It's perfectly true, Mrs. Walker. I mean, there's many a black widow that's walking the streets today that can thank her false eyelashes that she's got off.
I must say, I can't quite see what bearing all this has on Elsie's present plight.
No?
Well, in the first place, there's certainly no doubt in my mind that she's completely innocent. And in the second place, she does stand accused of theft, not mass murder.
Why don't you women shut up and let a fellow have 40 winks?
All stand in court.
Did you say something?
Several things. You know, I reckon I've been wasting my sweetness on the desert air, I reckon, for the past 5 minutes.
I'm sorry, love. I was miles away.
You know, like Weatherfield Magistrates Court, for instance.
Yes. Oh, I wish I'd been able to get along there this morning to give her a bit of moral support.
Oh, she wouldn't thank you, love.
Why wouldn't she?
Because Elsie's like me. She likes to keep her suffering to herself. Could you drop me that cushion over, love?
Ken, speaking of somebody else who keeps her sufferings to herself, you do realise something.
What?
I've got to get your dinner, the twins' dinner, and run a Meals on Wheels service for Uncle Albert. Oh, please, spare me the public martyrdom.
You know, love, I don't think you realise just how painful a dislocated shoulder is.
Well, if I didn't before, love, I certainly do now. I don't know which one of you is the biggest baby, you or Uncle Albert.
Can I come in now, or shall I wait till the end of the round? I've had 2 letters from Reg.
2?
Yeah, one for me and Dickie, and one for the rest of the streetcar and Mrs. Walker at the Rovers.
Oh. Have you given it to her yet?
No, I thought it'd take us along tonight, and then everybody can read it all at once.
Well, what does he say for himself and yours, then?
Shall I read it to you?
Oh, yes.
Dear Audrey and Dickie, just a note to my friends and admirers everywhere to say that Ray Langton is at last on the mend.
Cheeky devil.
The hospital authorities have already got the message, and from now on, all the nurses who come into my ward know that they do so at their own peril. Seriously, though, I'm feeling tons better, and I shall be getting out of bed for the first time for a few minutes today.
Oh, good.
Well, he certainly sounds like somebody on the mend.
That's what Dickie said.
I wish I felt I was.
More property was lost through offences of this kind in Weatherfield last year than was lost through shoplifting. And it's indicative of the growing concern about this that this case comes before us at all. There is a mentality abroad in our society, it seems, which believes that the very fact of working for a firm gives it the right to help itself to the property of that firm. It's a mentality, perhaps, which is one of the less savoury byproducts of the welfare state. And it's a society which can only be stamped out if magistrates dealing with offenders do so to the absolute limit of the law.
Not a drum was heard, not a funeral note, as his corpse to the rampart we hurried. Not a soldier discharged his farewell shot o'er the grave where our hero we buried.
Hey, where do you think you're going?
You do seem to keep dropping off, Mr. Tatlock.
Oh, don't talk silly. I always close my eyes when I'm listening. Helps me to concentrate.
Really?
Yeah. Get you sat down again and carry on where you left off.
Oh, very well. We buried him darkly at dead of night. The sods with our bayonets turning.
The what?
The sods, Mr. Tafler. That is the clumps of vegetation dotted around the battlefield.
Oh.
By the struggling moonbeam's misty light and the lantern dimly burning.
But you wouldn't have found none of them on sod. On some.
What?
Sods. There weren't much vegetation at all to speak of.
Oh. No useless coffin enclosed his breast. Not in sheet nor in shroud we wound him.
Mud. That's all there were.
Pardon?
On some.
But he lay like a warrior, taking his rest with his martial cloak around
Hey,
him.
did I ever tell you there were more British soldiers drowned in mud than what were killed with German bullets?
I do seem to remember you mentioning it on 1 or 2 occasions, Mr. Tafler.
Hello.
Yeah, well, not before time either.
You're not the only one I'm cooking for, you know.
No, but I reckon I'm the oldest. What have you brought any road?
Stew, thanks.
You said you were going to make hot pot.
Oh, come on. What difference does it make?
Makes a lot of difference. I like hot pot. Besides, stewed beef gets under my plate at back.
Look, do you want it or don't you?
Well, I haven't got much choice, have I? I don't want to lay here for another hour or two. Oh, hey, hang on a minute.
Now what?
There's something for you over there in that bundle.
What, this?
Yeah. It's me dirty washing. I've parcelled it up for you.
Thanks.
You'll find 3 pairs of woolen socks, but they don't need washing.
Why?
They only need mending.
I should be running 1 or 2 things through myself tonight.
Please don't bother.
What then of the case before us today? Now, there's no denying that the dresses in Mrs. Tanner's possession were not paid for. There's no denying either that she was trying to take them off the premises. But was she really trying to steal them? Or had there genuinely been a misunderstanding between her and her colleague, Mrs. Greenhouse? Now, the evidence isn't conclusive either way. And in view of this confusion, the bench feels it has no other choice but to dismiss the case on the grounds of insufficient evidence.
Right. Pay pontoons and 5-card tricks only.
Pay me. I believe that is the correct expression, isn't it, love?
I thought you said you couldn't play pontoon.
Oh, I don't know, love. It's really rather rudimentary. And, of course, I was rather a lioness of the bridge table in my youth.
Say, have you heard?
This is not a Punch and Judy show, Mrs. Turpin.
Sorry. Forget you spoke, Betty Turpin.
What's the big news, then?
Elsie Tanner, she's got off.
Off?
Yes, case dismissed because of insufficient evidence.
By the heck, I think this calls for a celebration point.
And pray, where do you think you're going?
Oh, come now, honey. It's only a broken wing I've got, not a couple of dislocated kneecaps.
Take life easy was what the doctor said. And take life easy is what you're going to do. Otherwise, back upstairs.
Quite right, Mr. Walker. I mean, you can't be too careful this time of the year.
Oh, thank you very much for your support, Mrs. Turpin, though I don't remember inviting it.
Oh, that's all right. I mean, neither of us want to lose him, do we?
That is this one, not this one. Which one?
Oh, thanks a lot, kid.
Oh, I wouldn't go through that again for £1,000,000.
You should have been where I was standing.
No hard feelings, I hope, Elsie?
No, of course not.
I'm sure there's no need for me to say how glad I am the way things stand out.
I know.
Oh, congratulations on Elsie.
Thank you very much. I knew you'd be pleased, Hilda.
Oh, well, I always knew you'd get away with it in the end.
Go and take a long walk up a short pier, will you?
Excuse me. Mrs. Tanner.
Yes.
I wonder if we could have a private word.
Yes, all right.
Twist or stick, Mrs. Walker?
I don't appear to have much choice.
Oh, better look next time.
There isn't going to be a next time, Mrs. Turpin.
Oh?
Not that I'm suggesting for one moment that you're cheating, but have you noticed that I haven't won a single hand since you started dealing?
Twist or stick, Mr. Walker?
Twist, but before you do, remember, Annie may not have played before, but I have.
Oh, Mr. Walker, what are you suggesting?
Nothing, love, but we'll have the next card off the top of the pack and not the bottom. Hey, I've a good mind to tell your Cyril about you.
Sim has taught me.
Get away.
Yes, the best card sharp in the north of England taught him.
I want a word with you. What about? Maddox-Smith. He wants to see us at our house in 20 minutes.
What for?
Well, if I knew that, you wouldn't have to bother coming, would you, Chuck? Tell me while we're waiting.
What?
What would you have done if they'd have found me guilty?
They didn't though, did they? We both knew they wouldn't.
Yeah. But what would you have done if they had? Oh, you'd have been very surprised, Mrs. Walker. I mean, you've been of a very highly sensitivized nature, like.
Surprised, Hilda?
Yeah, the way Elsie took it, with a face like a Chinese gong.
What do you want to do? Handstands all around the courtroom?
Well, a bit of genuine emotion wouldn't have been out of place. Still, I suppose it wouldn't do if we was all made alike.
Funny, I was just thinking the same thing myself.
You know, if she doesn't shut up, somebody else is going to be up in court for causing grievous bodily harm.
Oh, take no notice. She doesn't mean any harm.
Harm? Look, life's never been the same for that sort since they stopped public executions. I can just see her there on the front row, nick one, pearl one every time another head drops.
Who do you reckon it was then?
What?
Saved Mrs. Caldwell's life. Didn't you hear about it?
No.
Oh, the matron at the hospital told Dickie that if somebody hadn't given Mrs. Caldwell first aid on the spot, she'd have definitely been a goner. Hey, it wasn't you and you're not cracking on, was it?
Sorry, I'm not guilty this time.
Hey, Mr. Turpin, did you hear about that then?
What was that then?
Somebody saved Mrs. Caldwell's life by stopping the bleeding after the accident.
Really? Well, I suppose he only did what anybody else would have done under the circumstances, didn't he?
How are you feeling now, love?
Oh, better, but having got that lad over, thanks very much.
Oh.
Funny, you know, when you've been a policeman as long as I have, you get sort of immune to the feelings of the bloke in the dock, until it happens to somebody you like.
Have a pale ale on me, love, and wash away the taste.
No, thanks, Liz. I'll pop in the snug, see how Jack is, and I've got to chase over to the hospital to see young Gray.
I think he's nodding off, love. He's ever so quiet.
Eavesdropping, Jack?
The acoustics are quite good in here.
A bit unethical, eh?
Oh, but very interesting.
And I was thinking of raising a collection.
A collection, Mrs. Walker?
Well, for the dead driver's family.
Oh, yes, of course.
Well, it won't be much, but one has to try to do something. And they haven't heard the end of it yet, you know.
Oh?
Well, of course, there's the inquest, and then an inquiry. And you can imagine what sort of a meal the press are going to make of that.
Benefit of the doubt, that's what his lordship said he'd give her. It's not the same, though, is it?
As what?
Being not guilty. If you ask me, she's been dead lucky over this, as Elsie Tanner.
You just never give up, do you?
It's a free country.
Look, you know nothing about what's happened.
Listen, I was in court. I heard what he said.
And I said you know nothing about it. So shut up, will you? Unless you want another black eye to go with the one you already got.
I don't have to stop here to be insulted.
That's right, you don't. So buzz off, will you? Before I do something I'll be sorry for.
I'm not frightened of your sort. Would you like another cup of tea?
No, thank you, Mrs. Tanner. I really must dash shortly.
Oh, I see.
I don't suppose I need to tell you, but if I had my way, it would never have gone to court at all. But, well, I'm afraid matters has gone too far when I first got to hear about it.
Yes, I can understand that.
Mrs. Tanner, Mrs. Greenhouse, I could have said all this at the court.
Yes, that's what I thought.
I know. There is another problem, or perhaps I should say another side to the same one. You see, Mrs. Tanner, you were discharged, but the fact remains the goods were stolen.
Oh, no!
Now, please believe me, I agree with the magistrate's decision completely, but... Well, let me put it this way. If we knew who the thief was, and we're not likely to find that out now, the situation would have been simple. We'd just have discharged the person concerned, and the staff would feel that some decisive action had been taken. That is, Well, I don't want to sound too dramatic, but... Well, the shadow would have been lifted from the firm. And from your department in particular.
Until the next time.
Precisely, Mrs. Tanner. Until the next time. And what happens then? When the next time comes?
Do you mean that they'll think...
Well, what else do you expect them to think?
You want us to resign, don't you?
I don't want you to, but I just feel that, well, for both your sakes, it would be the best thing to do.
Yes, all right.
I really do hope you understand. It's the indecision. When people don't know, they guess. And very often their guesses can be hurtful. Goodbye.
Been a funny sort of day, hasn't it? I could have sent you to prison, and you could have gotten my job back. And we both kept our traps shut.
What have you got for me tea? I can't live on fresh air.
Perhaps I could fry something up.
Why on earth should you? He's got to start fending for himself.
I can't fend for myself with my arm like this.
Well, you did last time.
I didn't know that so. Dallas Biggins fended for me.
Well, I can't. I've got responsibilities of my own to worry about.
I suppose there'll always be a bed for me in the old folks' ward at Royal. That's if they ever find out about me lying here fading away.
Good.
Eh?
I said good.
Well, you wouldn't let them take me there, would you?
Why not?
Because they're not to come out of the A1 road, that's why not.
Well,
Feet first.
I don't seem to have any option, do I? I mean, I can't be in two places at once.
Oh, well, I've been thinking about that.
Oh, have you?
Yes, I don't like the idea of you running yourself off at the knees, you know, backwards and forwards.
Yeah?
So I think I've found a way around it.
Oh?
Instead of you having to keep coming to me, I'll move in with you till I'm on my feet.
Oh, no.
Well, it'll not be for 2 weeks.
No.
Oh, well, it looks as though I'll have to go to the old folks' ward then.
Oh, Uncle Albert, he wouldn't work, and you know it.
I don't see why not. Still, I won't hear a word said against you.
Now what are you talking about?
When folks get talking about you and Ken letting me go into workhouse instead of having me with you.
I don't think many people would say that.
What will you do now, then?
I don't know. You'd always send me memoirs to the Sunday papers, providing I'd pose for the pictures in my birthday suit, wearing a German helmet, of course.
Bloomin' heck, don't tell me she's still here.
She's just going.
Good riddance to bad rubbish.
Elsie, you know that thing you asked me while we were waiting? What about it?
Well, if they had have found you guilty, I wouldn't have let you go down. I would have confessed.
Yeah.
Hello, what's all this then? Is it somebody's birthday?
Well, I just thought it might take you out of yourself a bit.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it can't be much fun being stuck here on your own with no one to talk to.
Oh, but then I'm not on my own, I'm a love. I mean, I've got you for company, haven't I?
Well, not all the time. I mean, I do have to look after Uncle Albert, because he's on his own, too.
Yeah, well, it's an ill wind that blows no good.
Oh, Ken, don't be horrible. He's not all that bad.
Isn't he?
He can be very good company, can Uncle Albert, when there's nobody else to talk to.
You get away.
And you are both in the same boat.
Oh, Val, look, I know I've got a nasty, suspicious mind, but tell me you're not trying to tell me what I think you're trying to tell me.
By heck, when you ask somebody to come and stop with you, the least you can do is give them a hand with their luggage.
What was it you were saying, love, about one law for the rich and one for the poor?
Yeah, well, it was over this friend of Stan's, like.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, long-distance lorries. He wrote to Stan and offered him this job, like.
Oh, really?
Yeah, of course he wouldn't take it, like, but, well, it's nice to know you want it, isn't it?
If it's only by the police.
Yeah. Well, I'd best be getting off then.
Funny, I thought my ears were burning because of the rough wind.
From Ray.
Letter from me from Ray Langton.
Well, it's not really for you, Mrs. Walker. It's more sort of through you to the rest of the Rovers, you know.
Really?
Well, thanks a lot, kid, for everything.
Anytime. Elle, you just never learn, do you?
You don't learn, kid. You just get older.
I'd best get me skates on my bus, 'cause at 25 past.
Come on, I'll walk you down.
Right. I'll see you next time, everybody.
Yeah,
Ta-ra. Ta-ra.
What's he got to say for himself, then?
All in good time, Mrs. Turpin. I've a letter here. It's addressed to all of you. From Ray Langton. Dear friends and others, nobody knows better than I do that it was partly my fault the coach crashed. If I hadn't insisted on taking the shortcut, it would probably never have happened. If it's any consolation to you, it hasn't exactly been a picnic for me either this last couple of weeks. I'm sorry to have to report, however, that I'm now on the mend. And it won't be long before I'm putting in my usual entry for the Powder Hall Sprints. So clear a path to my favourite spot at the bar. See you all soon. Ray. Oh, well, it's a relief to know he's getting better.
I'm afraid he isn't, Mrs. Walker. I've just come from the hospital. I was there when he was getting up. He took 3 steps from his bed, went as wide as a sheet, and he collapsed in front of us.
Is he all right?
Oh, I couldn't tell you, Mrs. Walker. They got rid of me pretty sharpish, but I'll tell you this. It looked pretty bad from where I was standing.